So in this lecture, I'm just going to go into a very brief introduction into coding. So obviously you've seen just some brief coding when we built the app, just to make the image hidden and unhidden using the true and false feature. What I will say is if this lecture goes completely over your head, you've got no idea what I'm talking about, then don't worry whatsoever. It's got absolutely nothing to do with this course really. It doesn't affect what we'll end up doing by the end of this course. It's really just designed just to very briefly introduce you to a few concepts when it comes to coding, and one of them some of you out there may already know a little bit. So it's just designed to help people appreciate that although they think they may know nothing about coding, they actually may know a tiny little bit. I've just done this on an iPhone 5 in a simulator because that's the iPhone I use for my testing purposes. But anyway, we'll get rid of that. And if you're used to Microsoft Office and Microsoft Excel, I just wanted to show you something that you might be familiar with. So you may work in an office, you may use Microsoft Office, use spreadsheets and word processors and things like that. So this is just a quick introduction into coding. So we're just going to do something here. So I'm going to type 10 and 5, and you've probably, if you use spreadsheets at work, you may be used to summing things up as well, which of course you'd do in Excel, wouldn't you? Microsoft set up Excel by pressing equals, sum, open bracket, and then you can actually highlight the three parts there, and that will come out with the answer 25. So in your workplace you may have seen spreadsheets like this, you may have done them yourselves, or you may be 10 employees down from someone who's done them in the past and saved as a template. But all this is saying here is equals sum, so add all these bits up in cells B3 through B5, which is those three there, and that equals 25. So when you look at that, can we really say that's coding? Well, probably not actually. It's more of a formula, isn't it? But let's just take this a very brief step forward a little bit. Can we now say something like this? And you may have seen these on spreadsheets at work. Again, you may have designed them, or you may have just not designed them. Have no idea how they work, but you have seen them on spreadsheets. That's this if statement. So we're going to write equals if, open bracket, and I'm going to put if cell number B7, which is where the 25 is, equals 25. I'm going to write a comma and a speech mark and put yay. I'm going to put another comma, a speech mark. I'm going to put, so I was using Homer Simpson in the previous one, dough. And I'm going to close bracket that off, and we'll just right align that so it looks nice. So you've probably got no idea what I've just done there, but basically what we're saying here, in fact I'll just try and copy that if I can do. So we can just make it a bit bigger. I'll just put an apostrophe in front of it, and if I make the font bigger we can see exactly what we're working with here, can't we? Let's make it a bit bigger than that. So ignore the apostrophe at the front, I've just put that so it shows the whole formula. But basically here we've got 10 and 10 and 5. We've equaled this up to 25. But in this cell here we've put this formula, which basically says if cell B7 does equal 25, which it currently does, then show the word yay. This comma here could be likened to otherwise. Otherwise, show dough. Doesn't work, doesn't balance, or whatever you're doing with your spreadsheet. So if you do just change one of these here, look, change that to 6, then it'll be 10, 10 and 6, which is 26, which means it doesn't equal 25, and you'll see there it's changed to dough. So again, we can just change that back, yay, dough, and you change any of these, whatever it is, if it doesn't equal 25, it'll say dough, if it equals 25, it'll say yay. But this bit here though, just to again explain it, this is an if statement. So this is a condition here. We're saying, well, if B7, cell B7 equals 25, then what I want you to do, and that's what this comment can be called, it can be called then show yay. Otherwise, this comma, so otherwise as in if B7 doesn't equal 25, then you show the word don't, and that's how it works. So if you can basically understand that concept, so we have the condition. If it meets that condition, then do that. If it doesn't meet that condition, then do that. And that is what an if statement is. Now the reason why I've showed you that is because an if statement is one of the basic principles really of any coding language, and including Swift, which we use to build apps for the iPhone and iPad for. So if you can understand how an if statement works, then actually you probably know more than you actually think you do. It's just a case of just using some logic when you're trying to run code. For example, the code with the hidden picture, you could say if it's not hidden, then hide it. If it's not hidden, then hide it now. And you can do everything that in an if statement. I'll just mention, of course, an if statement in Swift doesn't necessarily look like this, with an equal and if and brackets and cell references, obviously because we're using this in Excel. But the same principle does apply. A condition, then do this. If not, do this. So that's an introduction to if statements. Now there are other things as well, which we can just briefly discuss. We'll get rid of that so it doesn't confuse us anymore. But other than if statements, there are something called Boolean expressions. Now you might remember this from our app, because if you remember when we typed in mate's picture dot hidden equals, it actually said it was a bool expression. And the reason why is if you just type into Google George Boole, I'll just show you this one. He's a mathematician who was born in the 1800s, and he invented a form of algebra that's, again, it's used in most coding languages today. So it's actually is the unsung hero in many ways of the coding language. So there's a Wikipedia page here about him. So I'll just go to this page. And the reason why I've gone to this page, I just wanted to show you this, because I just thought it looked pretty cool actually. But it says he was born November the 2nd, 1815 in Lincoln, Lincolnshire, and that is where I live. So I'm living in Lincoln myself. This is where this video is being recorded right now. If we scroll down, we can see his house and school on the street called Pottergate in Lincoln. And then we have a plaque outside the house as well. And that is literally just a couple of miles from where I am recording this video now, just down the road from where I live. So again, he was a mathematician. He worked with equations and things. Just to go to the very bottom here somewhere, unless the page has changed since I last looked. But see also, if you look at the fourth one down here, Boolean data type is a data type having two values, usually denoted true and false. And that is what we did in our app onto it. Hidden equals true, hidden equals false, and that was a Boolean expression. So that's a very brief introduction into Boolean values as well. So that's ifs and Booleans. On top of that, I won't go into these now, but we have something called variables. You use them quite often if you do learn how to code, and that's basically just something where you store some data, especially a string perhaps of text. You've got things like loops as well, where it loops around code, constraints, and all different things like that. But I just wanted to just briefly show you that, because I thought with the Excel part you might be aware of those sort of functions, and so you may just know a little more than you actually thought. But that's just a very brief introduction to coding. Like I say, it makes no difference to this course whatsoever, so don't worry if it's gone over your head, it doesn't matter, and we'll just carry on in the next lecture. Alright, thank you.